up, buddy?
What's up, bro? How are you? Good to see you, man. I'm great. Thanks for coming to hang out and talk.
Yeah, man.
BD here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And in this video, we're talking about Daryl Dixon, the Book of Carol, a.k.a. Daryl Dixon Season 2. The finale's out there now. I got to interview Reedus and Melissa McBride about the finale. So in these interviews, you're going to hear spoilers for all of this season. And I also interviewed the showrunner, David Zobel. However, I didn't have my microphone on. It was my first time doing these interviews by myself. So instead of playing that video here with just crappy audio, I'm going to give you a breakdown of the big takeaways at the end of the video, as well as share my thoughts on this season of Daryl Dixon, the Book of Carol. So without further ado, please subscribe to the channel because we blew past 30,000 subscribers, and that is absolutely epic. Thank you for that. Enjoy. Daryl Dixon, Book of Carol, is fantastic. This season 2 is great. I've seen the whole thing. So I'm going to ask you a question that I'm going to share after the finale airs. I think it's awesome that Daryl and Carol stayed behind, sent Laurent off to America, and just that whole finale is amazing. But I would love to just get your perspective to share with people. Where's Daryl at in those final moments where he's chosen to stay behind? Carol is joining him behind in France. We know you're going to Spain. What's going through Daryl's mind there?
Just that the kid's safe. I mean, you know, the storyline leading up to when Daryl and Carol meet is, you know, this lady Isabel is taking care of this kid. All she wants is to protect this kid, and that's something I think that Daryl feels very strongly about. Like he respects her for doing that, and once he sort of takes on this mission and he cares about this group of people, just to get the kid safe is all he wants. And then to see Carol show up, that's all he really needs. When those two are together, they're home. You know, so get the kid safe and. You and I are going to figure this out. That's kind of where we're at the end.
Do you know when you start filming season 3 yet?
We've already started.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. Well, all right. Can't wait to see you, bro.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Cool.
I got to let you go. Thanks as always, man. Hi, Melissa. How are you?
Oh, we got double digits.
I'm doing my own thing now. I left the site and I'm doing my own thing, so I'm trying to make it look good.
Are you really doing your own thing?
I am. Like it says, it's my. Yeah, I left like 6 weeks ago.
His own thing.
Yeah. Well, it's so good to see you, Melissa.
That's nice. You got 2 cameras set
We're
up.
doing 2 cameras. This one's just you. This one's the 2 of us. All right. I've seen the whole season of Daryl Dixon, Book of Carol. It's fantastic. First of all, it is so good, especially the ending. We're going to talk about the ending, and I'm going to save that until after it airs. But I want to start with just getting back to play Carol. Like, I felt like they took everything we love about Carol and dialed it up. Like, you're so cool in those first few episodes, just doing so, like, you looked like you were having fun.
It was so unapologetic.
Yeah.
Like I was watching that first 14 minutes last night at the Comic-Con, or was it yesterday at Comic-Con? Just a couple of those where she would come in, and it's just the first 14 minutes. So there was a couple of them where she's just like, and she just walks away. I laughed. It's funny, but it's not funny, but it's funny. I don't know. She just doesn't give a shit.
But it's all, I love that where Carol's at. It's just and that's honestly in the world of The Walking Dead, killing is easier, I think, than what Carol has to do to get to France, which is with her relationship with Ash. I just want to hear like Carol's evolution, what she has to do, where she lies to Ash to get there. Like, what do you think that says about where Carol's at and how determined she is as a person in this world?
That's one of the things I love about this character. She'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And again, unapologetically, although she, well, I can't say. She'll apologize, but anyway, she did what she had to do. You know, it worked. So, no, that's just more of who Carol is and the amount of desperation that she's feeling right now. Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen her quite this desperate.
It's fun to see, and so the finale is amazing. I'm going to save this until after this airs. I thought it's great that you guys stayed behind together, but the Sophia moment was, I watched this with my mom, and we both were just in tears. I don't know if I'm supposed to watch it with anybody, but I did. It was so good, and I would love to hear about, for you as a performer, to be able to tap into Carol's trauma and all this history with The Walking Dead, that you've developed this character, you've lived with this character, to have that moment where it's sort of like a moment of closure, I think, for Carol. What was it like for you, and how did you perceive that moment with the Sophia kind of hallucination?
The barn where it kind of started forming. That was a very cool scene to shoot. A little challenging in that we were taking it so literally, and the light changing, the daytime, the nighttime, the past, the present. I thought it was a really clever way to show what was going on inside of Carol's emotional mind, which Greg did a great job, totally recreating. And then having that hallucination in the tunnels. It was something that Carol needed. There may be a little more to play with.
Yeah.
I don't think it all just goes away, and losing a child, that grief never goes away fully, but you can come to terms with some things, which I think we'll see moving forward. The repercussions of that whole experience basically through the womb of the tunnel to a rebirth, maybe?
I can always see what happens in Spain.
We'll see.
Well, Melissa, it's always such a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for always being so generous and kind and thoughtful. Thank you. Thank you. Norman and Melissa are always fantastic interviews. Thank you for watching those. And here are the key points on the David Zobel interview. Really, the big one was just that the Norman and Melissa reunion, Carol and Daryl getting back together moment, was actually a lot less action-oriented in some of the iterations of it. And they only had to film that like very few times, maybe once, I think he said, because they just rolled cameras. Norman and Melissa had so much emotion, and they did such a good job capturing that. But there were very many versions of it originally, and they landed on that as a way to sort of subvert the expectations and have a big action sequence that ended up paying off with tremendous emotion. But that was the biggest takeaway from that interview. Other than that, we just kind of talked about general things from this season. I wish I could have shared it, but again, the microphone wasn't on. That's all my fault, and I'm disappointed in myself, but there's a bit of a learning curve to doing this YouTube thing here, and I'm having fun with it, and thank you. As for this season, I thought that this season was really good. I didn't think it was as good as the first season. I think the first season it just was so engaging every single episode. This one, I felt like the villain was a little bit predictable, and I didn't really get behind his motives. I thought it was kind of like this just radical religious type of story that I didn't end up buying into, but I did still think there were a lot of very interesting supporting characters in this season, which is something The Walking Dead, the original series, benefited from so well, and this show kind of emulated. But I was also hugely disappointed in the fact that they killed Isabel. I thought that was a bad move. I thought she was a very interesting character, and I did feel like, okay, so you brought Carol back in, and that means you had to kill Isabel. I don't think that's Carol's fault or Melissa's fault at all. I just think it's a weird writing choice, and it felt to me like they might not have known how to balance all of those characters being in the same place, so they took the easy way out, and as a result, they lost one of the most interesting characters in the show, which I found to be very disappointing. I found Carol to be the most interesting part of this season. I thought that her story to get to France ended up being like believable. They did a good job of executing that, because going into it, I was like, how are they going to make this something that I can actually buy? And I did for the most part. I liked the Greenland subplot side quest bottle episode with Carol. And I found that her and Ash's relationship was really good. And I loved the payoff of Carol with Sophia. I think The Walking Dead at this point is at its best when it rewards those of us who have been with the show from the beginning, which at this point is just about all of us. I don't think a lot of people are just joining The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol, after not watching 11 seasons of The Walking Dead first. So for those of us who remember Sophia coming out of the barn, the trauma moment for Carol kind of getting exercise for her was incredible. And Melissa McBride's acting, just fantastic. And Daryl, I think, is really a character that continues to have such slow growth in really good ways, because he becomes more vulnerable each time we see him. His connection with Laurent was really interesting, and I like what they're doing with these characters overall. Again, I think the biggest misstep was killing Isabel, and I'm really excited to see where this goes in Spain. What did you think of Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Subscribe to the channel for more, and if you want coverage of Dead City and other Walking Dead franchises, and if you want me to try to interview anybody, let me know. I'll reach out. I'll do my best. I'm BD. I'll see you in the next video.